Hello, friend. Joe at the office here. Hey, before we get started, do me a favor and please hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps me out a lot. Thanks. Okay, this tutorial is a beginner's guide to Microsoft Access and will cover creating tables properly for large database applications. So let's start with the premise that we are creating a new inventory management system for our client, Acme Wholesale. Alright, so I've created a database here, completely blank. I went ahead and set some options here, just the name of the application title up here, turned off the tab documents, compact on close, basic stuff. Later we could add some icons and stuff, but today I really want to focus on creating tables. So we're creating a inventory management system, and for the tables we're going to need for that are the items that we're selling, an issue table when we issue or sell the items, orders, so when we order new material, new items to come in, we need to keep track of that. So let's go ahead and do that. So create table, design. Alright, so there's a few things we want to do here, and I'm going to go ahead and just start typing these in, but we need an item ID, which is going to be hidden from our user, but it'll be the underlying linkage to all of our tables, forms, reports, queries, that sort of thing. Item name, short text. I'm going to do something here and show you some of these other settings. So if your item name, this isn't necessarily as important as it used to be when we were trying to save space on our hard drive, but making it realistic, your item name is never going to be 100 characters long, or maybe it will. You have to make that decision. And also the caption. So what the item, so I leave all the spaces out of my field names, and that's for programming and best practices. But what's displayed to your users automatically should be something that's friendly. So it could be item space name, that sort of thing. So you'll want to do that. If this field had any default values, which it doesn't. Item number. So item number is some thing that you need to think about as far as is it going to just be a 1, 2, 3, 4, or is it going to be some kind of smart text? Either way, we won't be adding or subtracting this, so making it a short text field is just fine. But I know for what I'm going to use, it's not going to be more than 8 characters, so I'll change that. And then what I want it to display in my caption is, say, item number, just to make it realistic. Alright, so we got item cost, which is going to be currency. We'll go ahead and set that currency. Auto decimal places, we're just going to do 2. And the caption is going to be cost. And then we'll need a location. We'll need to be able to determine where this location is going to be stored when it's received, where it's where we can find it when we have to issue it. So we're going to create 3 fields here: an aisle, a section, and a tier. And those 3 will tell us exactly where the item is in our warehouse. And then we also need a quantity on hand. And that is going to be a number because we are going to have to add and subtract from it. So it will always be an integer for what we sell. And how do I want it to display? On hand. No, we'll just do, on hand. Yeah, that's good enough. And then I'm going to create a couple fields here that we'll deal with later, but reorder point, and this is going to be a yes or no, and I'll explain it later. And then also seasonal reorder is also going to be yes or no. So this item is going to be able to say it has a reorder point, and that means a reorder point is when you hit a minimum quantity, you're going to order it. It'll trigger you to place an order. All right, so this is the first table. All right, let's talk about just really quick how a location of an item works in a warehouse. So we added these three fields: aisle, section, and tier. But what does that really mean in finding where the item is located? Let's look. I created this Excel spreadsheet. It's a layout of a warehouse. So this is the inside of the building. This represents the top view of your racks, your inventory racks. So this line of racks is aisle 1, this is aisle 2, this is aisle 3. Inside of those aisles we have sections. So aisle 1, section 1 is this rack right here. And then the front view for each of these racks has tiers. So we might have 4 shelves that hold inventory. Tier 4 would be on the floor, first shelf, second shelf, third shelf, that sort of thing. Higher up in the air here. So if you have an item that's located aisle 2, section 8, tier 2, this is exactly in the warehouse where it would be located. So you could go right there, pick it, and issue it. All right. So let's go ahead and save it. We're going to name it table, which is our prefix TBL, items. Pretty simple. Let's close that. Let's go to our let's go ahead and enter in some data here so we know what it looks like. So let's say this is a 5/8 inch, whatever it is you sell, machine bolt, right? And the item number is 08 04 0058. Let's just say that. And the cost per unit is 30 cents. And it is located in aisle 3, section 2, tier 2, common item. And currently we have 500. And it does have a reorder point. But it's not seasonal, so this is something we need all the time. Let's create a second item, and let's call it umbrella. And it is 11050001. The cost of it is, say, $15. This is our cost. And it is not a huge seller, so it's going to be maybe aisle 1, section 3, tier 2. And we have 25 on hand. It does have a reorder point, but it has a seasonal reorder point. All right, let's just use those two as our data, test data. Let's go ahead and create the next table. An issuance or sales table to keep track of what we're subtracting from the quantity on hand of each item. Create table design. This is going to be ish ID, auto number, ish date, gotcha, date. This is a date time. Let's look at this. So I want the issue date. I want that to be like that. Format is going to be short date. And then the default value is going to be now. I don't know if I have to do equals or not. Maybe. Let's do equals now. All right. Put that in one place. All right, and then issue item. We do want this to display, but it's just going to be the issue item ID. So this is going to be the ID from the original table here and it will be a number, just an integer. Issue cost is going to be currency. Issue quantity will be a number, and representative on who issued it. This is a person that works for your organization. Issued to, this might be the name of a company or person, and it if we have a lot of external customers that we wholesale to, it may be a number based on a buyer table that we're not going to this time, but that may be how you want to handle that. And then whether or not this issue has been posted, so that's going to be a yes, no. All right, let's go ahead and save. Make this the primary key. Go ahead and save this table, and this will be TBL issues or sales, however you want to do it. Let's go, and we should have a order table to track our orders for each item. So create table design, order ID. This is our auto number and primary key. Bam. All right. And we got an order date, which is the date time. Let's go ahead and change this to short date, because I like that. You could even change this to be date ordered if you wanted to, and of course the default value, because when your user is entering the record for the order, it's usually today's date, and so you want to save some time. All right. Those are just things that you need to think about while you're designing your database. So this order item ID is going to be your master item ID from your table items. So this does need to be a number. And then order cost is a currency, and order quantity is a number. Order from, so who are we ordering this from? Might be a business. This might be an ID field. It might be a number field linked to our qualified vendors or approved vendors. And then received is going to be a yes or no. So once it's received, we can't edit the record. We'll make some code to handle that. And we'll know that it was received. We can update the quantity on hand from our items table. All right, so let's save that table. Table orders. And lastly, I want to handle the reorder point functionality for each item based on a constant reorder point or a seasonal reorder point. So we need to make a table to handle that data, those transactions that we're going to be coding in functionality. So let's create one last table, and this is going to be a reorder point ID, auto number. Good practice to have this on everything. But then we're going to have that master item ID from the items table, so we know how to link these two tables together. A master, which is the table items, and a child, which is will be this table reorder point. So this is a number, and then we have the season. Let me spend some time on that. So it is going to be short text. Let's say that it's going to be 20 max field. But what I want to do here is create a combo box. So not just a text box for the user to type in, but a combo box, not based on a table or query, but what you could do, but based on a value list. And let's go ahead and type this in. So I want winter, semicolon, spring, semicolon, summer, semicolon, and fall. So those are the values that will be in our combo box. we'll be able to drop down, it'll select it, and then store it in the field here. And we're going to limit it to list. That's good. All right, and the last column we want here is the minimum quantity. So this is the quantity that will serve as the reorder point. Once we get to this level, that's when the reorder point is going to be triggered on our queries, our reports. So that's it for this table. Let's save it. We'll just call it reorder. Point. Why not? All right. Let's fill out some data on this just so you kind of know what it looks like. So this field, you won't ever enter data into a table, or your users will never enter data into a table, but you have to have test data. So we're going to say item number 1, which if we look back at the items table, that is this machine bolt. So we have 2 items here, 1 and 2. So 1 does have just a minimum quality. Remember, it's not seasonal. It's just going to be there's a reorder point all year round. So 100 is our reorder point. So we have 500 in stock right now. Once we drop to 100, it'll trigger a report that says you need to place an order. Let's do the second thing. So this is for our second item. The difference here is that this umbrella is seasonal. So we are going to have different reorder points. So once we drop in the winter, it's not rainy, but you might get a small demand. So when we drop to 5 in the winter of this item, we're going to need to trigger a reorder point. But the issue is when you have a seasonal item, you're going to have 4 entries. So let's do spring. In the spring, it's going to rain a lot. So if you drop to, say, 15, we're definitely going to have a reorder point hit because we're going to sell them. Summer, sometimes we have those summer showers. Let's say that's going to be 12. And then the last one, fall, it's not raining a lot in this here, so maybe when we drop to 3. So this will keep the quantity on hand at a manageable level. When we go into the new year and have to do inventory, we won't have as much stock to claim on taxes, and so this reorder point is going to be helpful in the functionality of our software. So that's it. That was a beginner's guide to Microsoft Access creating tables, learning how to do that properly with proper formatting and some of the options that come along with it. I'm hoping that this will be very helpful to you in your projects. Okay, so if you have any questions or critiques, please leave a comment. Please remember to hit subscribe and like, and always thank you for watching.